The House at the Edge of Magic is a middle grade book, and if you don't know, I've been on this journey of reading more middle grade books because I felt like I was very pretentious when I was in middle school and missed out on some of the classics, so I've been making it for that, but I discovered through that process that middle grade can be enjoyed at any age, or at least the vast majority of them. I also feel like here on Book Talk, it's very hard to market them because Book Talk is so predominantly focused on romanticies and romances that like poor middle grades get buried in the feed, and I think that they deserve to be marketed too. Now, this book in particular was about this girl who pickpockets someone that leads her into getting trapped in this weird, mysterious house with creatures. It's very Roald Dahl sense. The only difference is that Roald Dahl had actually something to say. Like, this felt like nonsense in that kind of weird, so random, quirky YouTube humor kind of mid 2000s way. And for me, I think it felt like from the very beginning, it had an uphill battle to fight against because the initial opening chapter leading to the inciting incident was like wanting for the best way of saying it. And in my Goodreads review, which you can read in full, you can see a link in my link tree to that. I compared that opening sequence to Aladdin and like Aladdin's song, like One Jump Ahead, or I believe that's what it's called. I like re-listened to the song numerous times, and in the course of the song, we not only get the sense of what the world is like and what his life looks like, of being on the cusp of starvation and poverty, that he is constantly just hovering one foot on that, and he just needs to work day by day, and he's stealing this bread, and he could steal probably anything, but he doesn't. He steals bread just to survive. And we see him interacting with people, and there are people that love him and think he's great, but then there are also people who hate him. So he feels dynamic. We can relate to him, we sympathize with him, we like him because he seems funny, and we see it through him interacting with others. And at the end of it, we also see the theme and the moral of the lesson, which is loyalty and friendship and kind of selflessness. And we see that with him, even though he works so hard to get that bread, he gives it to these two poor kids. In this story, our main character does not interact with anyone to the very end. And even then, as a librarian, it's just be like, I like to read. And it's like, oh, no, not this trope again, because it's so annoyingly done. It's just there to be like, wink, wink, look, I like reading, she likes reading. It's like, that doesn't make her relatable. It's actually no cringe because I see it so often in female main characters. And over the course, she has a very similar incident where she tries to pickpocket, but she's alone, and she never tells us why she's alone. She never tells us anything of interest, anything to make us care about her and her journey. So by the time she gets to the house, I already don't really care about her because I've never been given a reason to care about her. And then when she gets to the house, she's not really given a choice. And Aladdin, yes, might be in prison, and the choice is either stay in prison and maybe be executed or do this deathly mission from Jafar. The choices are lose-lose, but he still had a choice. There's still a moment of him hesitating, of him having to decide. Our main character in this story was trapped in the house and being like, all right, now you have to help us figure out how to get out of this house. There was no choice. The author and the plot were happening to the character. The character wasn't happening to the plot. There was no hemming and hawing. There was nothing. We were just shared nothing to make her then want to be like, oh, actually, there's something on the outside I do kind of want, but maybe I want to stay here because I've never had a home before. Like, there's none of that going on. And like, that could have been easily added in to make it then more dynamic and intriguing and conflicted and engage us with the characters. So the moral of this very long rant is that the like core idea of the story is cute. It's great. I like the quirky, like some of the funny quirkiness. I think that's enjoyable for a kid. But at the same time, why are you writing if it's not to then have the reader walk away feeling something? It could be something minor, but still feeling something. We walked away with Aladdin, yeah, it was a good time, but we felt like we learned something simultaneously. And that's what was lacking here. We were lacking that like depth to the characters and that lesson to be learned. And this, I think, is even more important for children's and middle grade books. But I think it's important in every book you read that what are you walking away from? What is important about your story? Why are you writing it? So at the end of this, I still would probably give this to like my nephews. I would still recommend this as a middle grade book. It's just, it could have been better is the heart of the issue. Is that I think it's entertaining, it's fun, but it's probably going to be forgettable because the characters and the lessons aren't memorable. So yes.